I'm so excited to bring this interview to you today, the interview with Glenn Sanford, the CEO and founder of eXp Realty. We've got 87,000 real estate agents. I'm asking them questions about the market, the shifting in the market, technology, and a whole bunch of other things that can help relate to your business and give you some information about our company and our leadership. I'm just really excited that he's been able to take time away from his busy schedule and contribute to me and all of you.
So the first question I wanted to ask was, you've been in real estate a long time. You started out, generating leads and running in teams in multiple states. So you've got a good idea of what real estate agents need to be doing. So I've structured some of these questions for real estate agents and teams and just for the industry. So with the market shifting though, and now seems to be shifting again. We're seeing multiple offers, low inventory still, but interest rates are higher. What's your prediction for the 2023 market for sales for our company?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing 500,000 sides a year, generally speaking. Real estate sales are down. I think Q4, I think Inman did some stuff and some other folks looked at some data that real estate sales are down 35% year over year. And so if you think about it just as an individual agent, that probably means that most agents are down 25%. Some agents have left the business, et cetera. So their business might not be down as much as the whole industry. But I think that we're going to be, we'll still probably have more sales in 2023 than we did in 2022. But it'll be the back half of the year where things start to pick up because Q3, Q4 were tough quarters in the housing industry. But I think Q3, Q4 this year, it's all dependent on a lot of it's dependent on the Fed. The Fed basically said, "Hey, inflation's way too high. We don't care about the housing market." They've had a big run, and so they've kind of said, we're gonna raise these rates and also taper back our balance sheet to the tune of like 97 billion a month or whatever the number is, some crazy big number, and so as a result, there's a lot of unwinding of that's going to play a role in the housing market. So I think it's going to impact us at the individual agent level, and it'll certainly impact us as a company. There'll be a lot of agents that are going to exit the business, but I think we're going to still be in that 500,000 real estate transactions a year, which is what we've been doing.
Which is fantastic. That's still great. Okay, so all right, power question here. This has been on my mind. You're leading 87,000 agents, and we're going into we're kind of in a real estate recession with 25% off mark for the whole industry. What do you fear? What do you fear as the CEO of saying, hey, we've got to get these people moving, and what's going through your mind on a daily basis?
So for me, one of the things I'm doing, I'm on a lot of videos, podcasts, social media streams, et cetera, because at the end of the day, I think there's a combination of being visible and being motivated. And so I think about the whole idea that you just sharing ideas of how to stay active in the business is pretty key, because it can be a tough business if you don't have some motivation to do some of the things that you need to do. I play with this idea that the macro economy is under pressure, but you as an individual agent are not the macro economy. You get to create the strategic relationships. You get to create the conversations. You get to come up with the new marketing plans. You get to do those things. And some of you have not had to do that for quite a number of years. I mean, the market's been going really, really well. And so you've coasted your way to a very successful career. And everybody's gonna have a different level of what that means to them. But in a tough market, you've got to become really tactical, and you've got to really figure out, what it is that's going to separate you from other agents in the marketplace. And if you didn't do it while the market was doing really well, which you should have, then you have to now, because if you don't, you're going to be left holding the bag, so to speak, because you're not going to get the transactions you need to, do the things that you need to do.
So do you feel as though that's, training, re-educating themselves, hiring a coach? I had some questions there about that, three tactical things that an agent should focus on right now.
Self-education is something every agent can do, and meaning that you can get the books, the online training, plug in and really take this stuff seriously. Get a coach, get a mentor. If you don't know what to do next, connect with somebody who's more successful than you are. In the eXp system, you have certain advantages. One is there is somebody in your upline that has been or is super successful in the real estate industry that has a vested interest in your success. We have our training team. We've got we're actually working on another initiative for what we call career counseling. So almost like when if you went to university, you had a counselor who would help you figure out which classes to take and what to do next. And so you kind of put you on the path to the things that you needed to sort of kind of do to better your career. One of the cool things about eXp is you're being trained by the best people in the company. Like this morning on the leadership meeting, listening to some of the stuff that was being shared on how to build your business. It's not stuff you get at a local real estate office.
Right.
That's stuff you go to conferences for. That's stuff that you just went to Jeff Glover's and you did it probably to get some tips and insights for sure, but it was to be around top agents and brokers and just be sort of in that ecosystem. You get to tap into that ecosystem, in eXp, even if you're not spending the thousands, hundreds, at least hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to be in those rooms. You can cobble together and or attend various things that we're doing. So I think the key is to just make sure you're curating the people in your room so that you can be inspired to do the things that you need to do. And this is a great company to do it at.
Awesome. That's great insight, Glenn. So I wrote down also, here that I know you believe in coaching and coaching with or something with Jarek Robbins. Are you still coaching with him? Are you talking to him? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm talking with him every week, but it's a little different because he also is the chief strategy officer at Success Enterprises, which means technically he works for me. So it's kind of an odd way to be coached by, but his insights are amazing. I spent time an hour or so with him today, and just hearing the way he thinks and approaches things. It's fresh eyes, and it allows me to think about things differently. And he comes from such a legacy background of personal development that I pick up things every time I have conversations with him. I've never really had a coach in a traditional sense, but I do have a board of directors, and they hold me accountable to stuff. So I get some of the benefits of coaching and mentoring through the more structure of even running the company. I actually had this conversation years ago about coaching in the large specs can replace, at a significantly lower cost, by the way, the benefits of having a board of directors. You start to put together a board of directors, and each of our board members, we're paying them a couple $100,000 a year to hold me accountable to get stuff done. And you put enough of them in the room, and it's a fairly costly exercise. So coaching with the right coach, they can help you really figure out what you need to get done. You got to do the work,
Right.
but it's a great way to figure out what you should work on next.
What are you excited about that eXp is doing this year? I know you guys come up with, on a corporate level, a tremendous amount of phenomenal tech tools and just different opportunities for agents and leaders and brokerage owners and that have come over to the company and what's going on this year with tech, and what are you excited about?
I'm excited about something I can't talk about. I mean that in all sincerity. We've got something rolling out in the next few weeks that is going to be a freaking game changer. We got a couple things actually rolling out in the next couple of weeks. I think we're going to announce something by Inman, and which is only in a couple of weeks, maybe less than, I'm not sure. But we've got something really exciting we're going to talk about. But Leo, the Showcase IDX team, has been working on some really cool stuff we're going to be rolling out. We got some folks sort of previewing it, but the ability to generate leads anywhere that eXp does business in a way where you can almost create a passive stream of income without needing to. Well, anyway, if I keep on talking, I'm going to give it away.
What?
Generate leads anywhere that eXp does business in a way where you can almost create a passive stream of income without needing to. Well, anyway, if I keep on talking, I'm going to give it away. So I'm going to keep it to myself. But we've got some things that are really cool.
Oh shit!
Cool. Obviously, we're expanding Zoocasa across the U.S. or across Canada and bringing it down to the U.S. So that's having our own real estate portal is a big deal. And then it's just for me, it's about blocking and tackling, doing more events with agents. And we just got back from the Sales Mastery event with John Cheplek and Daniel Beer. I went to Orlando Montiel's event on Wednesday. First all Spanish real estate training event with 700 people in the room.
Wow.
I don't speak Spanish, so there was a little translation going on for me, but it was really cool just to see that. But I think it's just get educated about this business and implement, because there's a lot of stuff that you can do if you just take advantage of it.
As far as what I try to do is help a lot of broker owners, team leaders, even at other companies, because I believe in abundance and stuff. So this question is for them. What do you think they need to be doing? Like, they're competitors of ours, but some of them may wake up like I did and say, hey, it's time to look at other options. But until then, I always support them. I know you support them in the industry also. And do you have any advice for them?
The advice is pretty obvious. It's not like this is going to be new to them, but they got to figure out a way to, get rid of their leases. If you're a broker owner, real estate agents go through this all the time. It's feast and famine, but it's usually between deal cycles, right? So they'll do 2 or 3 deals, then they'll go on vacation, and then they're back and sort of like, crap, how do I pay my rent and my mortgage? And then they got to work their rent. And so they do this feast and famine thing. They might do it even 2 or 3 times a year. Whereas broker owners, they do, it happens slower. And right now we're going into famine for all intents and purposes for broker owners in general. The challenge is for most broker owners, they can't get out from underneath their bricks and mortar fast enough. It's the single biggest expense to running a real estate brokerage. It's also the thing that you typically sign fairly lengthy leases against to get the best rent on your building. And that is great when the market's going up, or if you did it at the very beginning of the cycle. But probably a third of everybody out there, they have no ability to manage those leases in a down market. So what we saw, and you saw it I'm sure as well, because I think you've been in the business a fair bit of time. But how many broker owners did you see go bankrupt in 2008, 2009, 2010? It was a bunch. Like it was, and we had to actually we had to take the, if you've declared bankruptcy in the last 3 years, off of our application to potentially be a managing broker for eXp, because every managing broker we were interviewing in 2009, 10, 11, almost every single one of them had a bankruptcy against their license if they'd been running a successful office, because the office had crashed and burned in the downturn. So, the thing is, take your bricks and mortar expenses seriously. And understand, we do not live in 1992 or even 2002. We live in an uberly connected community of people. The fact that you're seeing this video, in 2002, you wouldn't have seen this video. It would have taken, the bandwidth would have been fairly significant. It would not have been ad hoc. It wouldn't have been just quickly putting it out there. There'd been, you'd have to compress the stuff and put it into upload it on an FTP file, and then you'd have to sort of, maybe watch it at some point, but you wouldn't be very real time. Now we can do these things almost real time, and as many as we want. We can uberly connect everything via the internet. And everybody who says, well, you can't do this without an office. Well, get your head examined. I mean, literally, you can build this business without a physical office. You can say, I prefer to have a physical office. Sure, that's a preference. But to say you have to have an office to run a real estate brokerage, you don't. And if you say that you have to, then it means that you don't have the skill set. So go develop a skill set around how to actually embrace running without physical space. Lots of businesses are going entirely online. And you look at the companies that are dominating today, whether it be Amazon, it turns out Amazon is going a little bit full circle, because they are putting a few little mini Amazon stores in some strip malls and some other things, but they're really, their core business. Nobody goes there, says, I'm going to go to Amazon and go to the store in the mall to find the thing. They go online, they buy the thing, and if they're walking through the mall, they stick their head in, and if there's some widget or whatever that catches their attention, they might buy it on a whim. But when you're serious, you go to Amazon.com. So I think, think about Amazon, Netflix. There's tons of companies now, all the Shopify stores, and of course, real estate brokerage. Consumers are searching online. They're not going to an office. I don't know, when's the last time you've ever heard of a consumer going to an office first in their real estate search piece? They just don't.
When I first met you years ago, when we were considering folding our company and our brokerage. We had brokerage 2 states for everybody listening, 420 agents, and at the time Glenn had like 300, and we almost folded in. But our biggest hesitation was we had 18,000 square feet of office space in 2 states, and we owned 5,200 square feet of that, and it just wasn't a viable option at that point. But I was thrilled when I got rid of my office space and I came to eXp, and I wasn't stressed. And people ask me today, do you have offices? I'm like, no, I don't need one. And it's fantastic. Right. Our office is online. eXp World is fantastic. eXp Enterprise we have to operate our business. I mean, for us, for me, I mean, it's a blessing. And my pinnacle, we got to 420 agents and built a great company. I tell people this today. You couldn't talk me out of growing my brokerage until the day I woke up and said, okay, it's time. And today, I think I hit 1,400 agents under my organization. And, I can't thank you enough, Glenn, for offering this opportunity, and for everybody out there that just needs to think differently, right? So.
Well, awesome. No, I remember, I still remember working on the spreadsheet with you guys, trying to figure out how to make all that come together.
So I've got a couple more questions. The first one, would be, how about Chat GPT? I'm sure you've heard of it. It's the AI system that's coming out. Have you looked at it or used it yet? And what are your thoughts on how that's going to affect our industry?
It will affect our industry to some level. The way I think about it is that all this stuff does become smarter and smarter over time. But me as an individual, I talk to people like you and me are here on Zoom together. I don't think I'd ever have a true, belly to belly, personal conversation with an AI. And what I mean by that is that if my AI starts to replace my relationships, then we know the whole freaking planet's doomed. Okay. So I don't think that we're going to the AI itself is going to replace what we're doing here. But I think there's going to be a lot of agents, a lot of them, who are going to go, hey, I need to create content. I need to write a blog post. I need to do this. I need to do that. And Chat GPT does fairly decent stuff relative to that. Now it's very generic, non-offensive, it's not really opinionated per se, even though I think it has sort of the different biases, gender biases and racial biases and everything else that's sort of just based on the stuff it consumes to kind of create the bots that it is. But I don't really see it doing things that ultimately move the needle for us as human beings yet. Now, that being said, I use a lot of tech for data. Like I've got my Oura Ring, I got my Apple Watch on, I do my Biome. So I do sort of internal coaching just for me, just to do the right things, like get my movements in, stuff like that. So I think there's places for AI and big data to sort of optimize me as an individual person, but I would never use an AI to show me a house. It might put a house on my feed for me to review, and so I could see a AI being valuable there. But when I think about Chat GPT specifically, I think it could be an alternative to a search engine. So instead of going to Google and then clicking on the various links, I might go to Chat GPT and say, hey, find me a restaurant, that's at least 4.5 stars to go to dinner tonight and make me a reservation. Like I could see kind of cool stuff like that doing, and it would just make my reservation and then tell me when it is, and you're, got your table set up and stuff like that. I can see some stuff like that. But at this point, I'm not sure it's going to play a big role other than some content creation, maybe ad creation. I used, is it Jasper? Or I think it is, to create a whole bunch of tweets. It has a tweet creator. So you take an idea that you want to create a whole bunch of tweets around, and it'll literally generate 20, 30, 40 different variations. It's not bad. So if you go onto my Twitter feed and you look at my tweets, you'll see that those are actually created, but they just create engagement. It actually just increases my follower count on Twitter, and so from that perspective, it's playing a role. But when I actually want to have a conversation with somebody, it's me and a person having a conversation around stuff, even if it's on Twitter. So at some point, I'm sure I'll be engaging with a Twitter bot that actually is having a conversation via tweets. I don't think that's there yet, but I could be wrong.
Supportive role for humans, but not quite there yet.
Not quite there yet. I think that if it does get there, I think there's going to be a renaissance to. I think if there's ever a reason to go back to dealing with human beings, it's going to be because AI is so ubiquitous and that it's affecting our lives too much that we now start to think about. But the AI, by the way, the AI will actually plan all the events getting us together. Because we'll go, hey, we want to get together. I want to get together with Brent. Where can he and I get together with that's convenient? And it says, oh, it turns out that both your calendars are open here and you both like to do these things. How would you like to do this? I can see stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question is, when do you think the stock is going to be climbing?
As soon as the Fed starts lowering interest rates.
Yeah, I figured it would be something like that. Yeah. Okay, great.
The stock will, stock will do whatever it's going to do. I mean, it could go down, go up or down for a variety of reasons, but the Fed raising interest rates the way they have has affected the entire market. You look at so many companies have dropped, 60, 70, 80, 90% of their value, not because the fundamental business changed, but because the Fed has raised interest rates and basically, and then not to mention, hey, we are a housing stock. It's not like the housing,
right.
But we do have, knock on wood, the highest market cap of any organized real estate brokerage in existence today. We're higher than anywhere, which owns Century 21, Coldwell Banker, ERA, Sotheby's, Corcoran, et cetera. So we've got a higher market cap than them, Compass, Remax. Obviously there's new players on the street as well that aren't even, sort of well ranked, but there isn't a single real estate brokerage that we don't have a higher market cap. So on a relative basis, we're still way outperforming the market.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic when we see that climb. And I'm excited to be with eXp personally. My family is, all my friends that are over with us, and there's more people we're talking to. So I see us growing for sure, and we're doing everything we can to help support the company. And we appreciate all of your efforts, Glenn, because I know you're constantly innovating and thinking of new ways to support the agents and how to get that stock higher and everything else. So I really do appreciate all the effort that you put in, because you're all over the place, on planes and still, taking meetings like this, which I think is phenomenal. It's hard to, be a CEO of such a large company and a leader of all of the agents and still donate enough time to be on the ground level. So I think that's really cool of you, and you're appreciated.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Brent. Thanks for having me on.